There's fun in learning around the bend. You could even do it with your best friend. If there's science stuff that you like to know, come watch Allie and Coco's Science Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a special quick video of Allie and Coco's Science Show. It apparently is Love Your Red Hair Day, and I don't know if you noticed, but I have red hair. Silly. Maybe I'm biased, but red hair is the best hair color. Less than 2% of the population has red hair. There are redheads all over the world, and it occurs in all races. It's amazing. And it's rare. But what causes this? Is it like a freak mutation? Is there something wrong with me? No, Coco, no. Actually, well, it does have to do with genetics. It isn't always a mutation. So far, we know of eight different ways, different genetic differences associated with red hair color. The most common is a homozygous recessive allele on chromosome 16 that alters the MC1R protein. Let's start with the big first. So the average human has 46 chromosomes. These chromosomes have all the genetic material on what traits you'll have. For you, it might be like, will you have floppy ears or pointy ears? Will you be big and lanky or short and stubby? Long fur? Yes, definitely. Brown eyes or blue eyes? Health issues? So many different things are written into our genetic code. And no, it's not always just what we look like. Sometimes it'll have the written information on how cells function. You get 23 chromosomes from your mom, at least humans do. 23 chromosomes from your dad. And they pair up together. The pairs match up, and they have these different genes on them. Sometimes one gene is more dominant than another. So let's say your dad gives you a long snout gene. Your mom gives you a short snout gene. Because the long snout gene is just more dominant, you end up having a long snout. No, Coco, I love your nose. So we've got a gene for mom and dad for the same thing, and the different forms of these genes are called alleles. Alleles, not alleles. I mean, maybe. If there are two genes that are the same type, so like a long snout and a long snout, both are dominant, it's called homozygous, or short snout and short snout. They're both recessive or not dominant. If there's one dominant and one recessive, like in Colette's case, it's called heterozygous. Yep, because like one of your parents was an Australian Shepherd, had a little small nose. One of your parents was a Sheltie and had a really long nose. So your nose is heterozygous. So when I say red hair is caused by a homozygous recessive allele, it means I got a recessive allele from my mom and a recessive allele from my dad. Huh? They don't show the red hair. My parents are both brunettes. They don't show red hair because they have that dominant brown hair gene. Now they could have been like homozygous dominant, homozygous only brown hair, but I mean, I had red hair, so they must have had that recessive gene hidden in there somewhere that you couldn't tell until me came along. So I show the red hair so we can tell my parents are heterozygous for brown hair. Yeah. And if you look at some of my family members, like my cousin Ellery, who was on a few videos back, or my cousin Lila, who's been here a few times, as well as many more cousins on both sides of my family, a grandma on one side, a great grandpa on another, we have redheads. We have redheads just sprinkled all over the family tree. So that really shows it's gotta be a recessive on both sides of the family. I'm so glad you asked, Miss Coco. First off, we're super rare. Remember I mentioned only 2% of the less than 2% of the population, excuse me, has the red hair. But we are also really cool on a science level. So earlier I mentioned a protein, the MC1R protein. When you have these two recessive genes on this 16th chromosome, and you have a redhead, that gene also alters this protein, this MC1R protein, which leads to fair skin, freckles, and the inability to tan. But the tanning thing, so I have lower melanin in my body, which means it's easier to get vitamin D, even if light levels are low. But I have a higher risk of skin cancer. I always try to be super careful when I go outside though, especially in the sunnier months. Anyway, it's really cool to look at this skin color thing as people have migrated and moved throughout human history. If a redhead gets more vitamin D in low light, that means they can easily survive somewhere up north. So there are higher rates of redheads in places like Sweden, where my family is from, and Ireland. Also, by the way, 10% of Ireland's population is redhead. Well, side note. It is nuts, yeah. All throughout Europe, you'll see higher populations of redheads. I'm also Scottish, which is another ginger capital of the world, as well as Italian and Spanish. More redheads all over the place. All of these places have higher levels of redheads than other places. Living somewhere closer to the equator, where there's more sunlight, would be more detrimental because of that whole melanin issue. Over time, the gene for the redhead and the lower melanin and all the things that come with it, the gene is kind of selected out, so it's less common in these areas. It's still found throughout the world, but it's more common away from the equator and the sunlight, and less common in these sunnier, awesome places. This is a phenomenon called genetic drift. Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, dogs are a little different because you've been selectively bred for some traits too, but kind of like that, where you might have animals with more blubber up north where it's cold and slimmer down in the equator area. So that happens all the time in plants and animals. They get traits for a certain area, and some traits get kind of knocked out over time. So another wild thing about redheads is studies show that we have different pain sensitivities to the rest of the population. Now, I can definitely attest to this. I have the lowest pain tolerance ever. But it's actually not just about having a lower pain tolerance. Apparently, we are more sensitive to temperature change. Yeah, I really feel this one. I'm always freezing cold, even if it's like 90 degrees. So I just thought it was because I was like a reptile of sorts, but this makes a lot more sense. We're also able to handle electrically induced pain better. Yeah, I have no idea whose idea this was to study this, but there you go. And we also require greater amounts of anesthetic. Yeah. And we have a higher rate of bruising, which, like, just the other day, I have a bruise from, like, the top of my thigh to the bottom from literally carrying a heavy box. So many weird things like that, and it's all genetics. So, now that you have a few weird and amazing facts about redheads, I want to know, who is your favorite redhead? They can be a real character or from your favorite movie, show, book, or whatever. Oh my God, you are the sweetest thing. Stop, I love you. My favorite is, there's so many. I love redhead characters, but I love Gimli. I love all the Weasleys except Percy and Miss Frizzle. So guys, comment down below who is your favorite redhead character, and don't forget, if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified of when I put a video out. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new about redheads or you just love cute puppies. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching and have a happy Love Your Red Hair Day. So, bye guys!